Because the thing you're calling proof that you're worthless is actually proof that you're human. Think about that. If you were truly worthless, would you feel this much pain trying to be better? Would you replay conversations at night like a courtroom trial? Would you apologize for taking up space? So why are you treating normal human imperfection like a life sentence? Who told you that one mistake means you are the mistake? You know the feeling? You mess up. You disappoint someone. You miss a goal. You break a promise. Your brain doesn't just say that was a bad moment. It says that's who you are. And then the spiral begins. You start measuring your worth like it's a scoreboard. Good day, you're valuable. Bad day, you're trash. You don't even realize it, but you've been living on emotional probation. Trying to earn a right you were supposed to have from the start? The right to exist without proving yourself every second? The real problem is the system you've been using to judge yourself. A system that punishes you for being human. A system that confuses performance with value. A system that turns every small failure into a global verdict. You weren't born hating yourself. You learned it. You learned to tie love to achievement. You learned to tie acceptance to perfection. You learned to believe that if you're not flawless, you're nothing. And that belief is a liar with a loud voice. Here's the first shift. Your worth is not a number that goes up and down. It's not a stock market. It's not a follower count. It's not a grade. It's not someone's mood toward you. Worth is the floor, not the prize. You don't win it. You stand on it. And if that sounds impossible, listen closely. You already believe this about other people. Suddenly you become judge, jury, and executioner. That's not high standards. That's self-violence, wearing a nice suit. The biggest misconception is this. If I don't punish myself, I'll never improve. That sounds logical, right? Like pain is fuel, like shame is discipline. But psychology says the opposite. Shame doesn't build better behavior. Shame builds hiding. Shame builds lying. When your brain feels threatened, it goes into survival mode. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and improvement. That needs safety. Growth needs space. Change needs patience. So if your inner voice is a bully, don't be surprised when your motivation runs away. Imagine you're training a puppy. Every time it messes up, you scream at it. What happens? Puppy doesn't become better. It becomes scared. It pees behind the couch. It avoids you. Flinches. That's why you shut down. Not because you're lazy. Because your brain associates trying with pain. So your mind protects you by making you stop. That's not weakness. That's a survival strategy you're misreading. The second shift. Separate what you did from who you are. It sounds simple, but it's life-changing. Because the sentence "I failed" is different from "I am a failure."
I won this.
Is a description. The other is an identity. Your brain loves identity because it's easy. If you label yourself, you don't have to investigate yourself. I'm worthless is a shortcut. It's a tragic shortcut, but a shortcut. It ends the conversation. It closes the case. But the truth is messier and more hopeful. You are a complex human with patterns. Patterns can change. Identities can evolve. Here's a quick logic check. If a single mistake makes you worthless, then every human on earth is worthless. Every doctor who missed a diagnosis, every parent who yelled, every student who froze in an exam, or the rule is wrong, and it is wrong. You're not the exception to compassion. You're not the one person who must be perfect to deserve respect. Third shift. Stop using perfection as proof of safety. A lot of self-hate is actually fear in disguise. Fear of rejection, fear of being laughed at, fear of being abandoned. So you try to become unrejectable. Perfect body, perfect grades, perfect money, perfect behavior. You run toward it and it moves further away. And even worse, perfection doesn't create safety, it creates fragility. Because if your worth depends on never slipping, then you're always one step away from collapsing. Think of a glass sculpture, beautiful, perfect, and one small drop shatters it. Now think of a tree. You're not perfect, bent, scarred, uneven branches, but it survives storms. It adapts. It grows around obstacles. You don't need to become glass. You need to become a tree, strong enough to keep going even when life hits you sideways. That's what real confidence is. Not, I never mess up. Real confidence is, I can handle myself when I do. Here's a mistake people make. They wait to feel worthy before they act worthy. When I'm confident, I'll speak. When I'm healed, I'll start. When I'm perfect, I'll show up. But confidence isn't a prerequisite. It's a result. Worthiness isn't a feeling you earn. Like showing up to the gym, you don't wait for motivation to prove you matter. You act like you matter, and your brain catches up. Fourth shift. Upgrade your inner voice from prosecutor to coach. Same facts, different tone. A prosecutor says, "You're guilty. You always mess up. You never learn." A coach says, "Okay, that didn't go well. What happened? What can we adjust? What's the next rep?" Coaches don't deny mistakes, they use them. They don't shame the athlete for falling. They teach the athlete how to get up faster. Your life needs more reps, not more insults. Here's a practical tool. When your brain says I'm worthless, answer it with a question, not a debate. A question. What exactly am I reacting to? What did I expect of myself? Is that expectation human? If my friend did this, what would I tell them? Questions force your brain out of emotion and into reason. It's like pulling your mind out of quicksand by grabbing a branch. Slow down, get specific, because vague self-hate is powerful. And now, let me give you a story. Not a dramatic movie story. A quiet, real one. There was a person I want you to imagine, someone who always tried to be the good one, the reliable one, the one who never caused trouble. They smiled even when their chest felt heavy. And every time they made a mistake, their mind didn't just feel regret. It felt humiliation, like they had been exposed. One day, they made a small mistake at work. Not the end of the world. But inside, it felt like a disaster. They went home, sat on the edge of the bed, and the same old sentence came, "I ruin everything. I'm not enough." And then they did something different for the first time. They didn't argue with the thought. They didn't positive think it away. They just asked, "Who taught me that mistakes mean I don't deserve love?" And suddenly memories showed up. A parent who only praised achievement. A teacher who embarrassed them in front of others. Friends who teased mistakes like it was entertainment. Moments where love felt conditional, like a contract, like a reward. And they realized something painful but freeing. They weren't born feeling worthless. They were trained to fear imperfection. Their self-hate wasn't truth. It was a learned alarm system. That night, instead of punishing themselves, they tried a new sentence. A simple one. Not cheesy, not fake, just honest. I did something wrong. I am not wrong. Again, I did something wrong. I am not wrong. And it didn't magically heal everything, but it cracked the prison door. Because for the first time, they separated behavior from identity. For the first time, they gave themselves what they had been begging from the world. Permission to be human. The turning point wasn't that they became perfect. The turning point was that they stopped using pain as proof. They stopped saying, "If I suffer enough, maybe I'll be forgiven." They started acting like a person who deserved to learn, not a person who deserved to be punished. Here's the fifth shift, and it's the one that changes your entire future. Replace the question, "Am I worthy?" with "What do I need?" Worthiness is a trap question. It keeps you stuck. Needs are actionable. If you made a mistake, what do you need? More practice? Better boundaries? More rest? A conversation? Therapy? A plan? Accountability? When you move from "I am bad" to "I need support," you step out of shame and into growth. And growth is where your power lives. Let's get real for a second. Some of you aren't feeling worthless because you're weak. You're feeling worthless because you're exhausted. You've been carrying too much with too little kindness. You've been trying to earn love from people who only notice you when you're useful. You've been surviving in environments where mistakes were punished, not guided, and you adapted. You became hyper-aware, hyper-responsible, hyper-self-critical. But what kept you alive back then is choking you now. So picture the identity shift. Picture the type of person you become when you stop demanding perfection from yourself. You become someone who can fail without collapsing. Someone who can be corrected without feeling attacked. Someone who can apologize without self-destruction. Someone who can try again without needing a miracle level of confidence. You become resilient. You become steady. You become free. And imagine this. The next time you mess up, you don't spiral for hours. You don't replay it like a punishment loop. You pause, you breathe, you say, "Okay, data, yes, data. not drama. Data. What happened? What can I learn? What can I learn? What do I do next? That's the mind of a builder. That's the mind of a leader. That's the mind of someone who respects themselves. Because self-worth isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a decision you demonstrate in small moments, in private, when nobody claps, when nobody sees. It's the moment you choose to speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for, like someone you're raising, like someone you love. Let me slow down here because this part matters. Nobody is perfect. It's not the person you admire, not the person you compare yourself to, not the person who looks like they have it together. Perfection is a highlight reel. It's lighting. It's angles. It's selective honesty. The more you chase it, the more you lose yourself. But when you accept that imperfection is the entry fee for being alive, you stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting reality, you get energy back. Your life becomes lighter. Your mind becomes quieter. Your heart becomes braver. So here's a thought to keep with you. Maybe you were never worthless. Maybe you were just measuring yourself with a ruler that was designed to hurt you. Maybe the goal was never to be flawless. Maybe the goal was to be real, to be learning, to be present, to be someone who keeps showing up. If you're watching this on Inspire Path, I want you to do one thing right now. Write a comment. I am not my mistakes. Just that. For words. Because when you say it publicly, you start building a new identity. You start building a tribe of people who refuse to hate themselves for being human. If this hit you, like the video, share it with the friend who apologizes for existing. Subscribe for more on Inspire Path, because we don't just consume motivation, here we practice it. And before you go, answer this quietly, honestly. If you treated yourself with the same patience you give everyone else, who would you become?